Hello, and thank you for watching this course on Certified Ethical Hacker version 9, brought to you by INE. We're looking at Module 4, which is Enumeration. And in the agenda for this lesson, we're going to learn about DNS enumeration. And we're going to do that by performing a zone transfer. We're going to learn what information to extract and how to actually perform a zone transfer from the Windows command line. So a DNS zone transfer, what it does is it aims to locate and download the entire DNS zone file from the target domain. The fact that you can query records from a certain domain using your own DNS server or a public DNS server doesn't mean that you're getting the full thing as it is stored in the authoritative server. Okay, you need to know this. The fact that you can query, again, certain records doesn't mean that you get the full picture of what is configured on a particular DNS zone. In order to get access to that, you will need to A, be an administrator of that particular domain, or B, be able to perform a zone transfer so you can get a full view of what's in there. So zone transfer is actually a feature aimed to replicate the DNS information across different DNS servers. It's actually a feature, but it's a feature that needs to be restricted, in some cases disabled, so to avoid hackers from taking advantage of it. The problem it has is that, again, it exposes all DNS information stored in the server, even information that's not meant to be shared, information such as comments, such as text files with private information, such as portals which are supposed to be resolvable by certain users under certain circumstances, but not by everyone. Okay, for example, VPN portals. The type of thing that you find, for example, in Shodan. You guys remember Shodan, right? That's the kind of thing you don't want to expose to everyone in the internet. So for the attacker, it's very useful not only for finding information via enumeration like we're doing here, but also for finding the correct information when spoofing the DNS server or performing cache poisoning, so that you redirect users to your own malicious server and it has information that's similar or equal to the authoritative server. Okay, so DNS zone transfer might prove very valuable. Again, in many cases it's not possible because people is very aware that they need to protect their servers against zone transfer from unknown sources. So information that can be extracted in a DNS zone transfer, different name servers for the domain. You can extract email records, you can extract location information, you can extract the serial number, which is a number which is generated by the date of the changes, and as it updates it increases, so you can kind of track when there are updates in the server. You can extract email addresses from administrators. You can extract services and providers that are being used for certain services. A TXT entry, for example, it's meant to be internal, just an annotation, but you can view it with zone transfer. You can see main website and staging websites. You can even see what are VPN servers and what are certain records that point to other devices or technologies which are in use. So you know, if you're lucky, you get a very verbose zone file that will tell you a lot about what they are running and even what services they might be associated with. A great web page to understand zone transfer is this one right here, https://digi.ninja/project/zonetransferme.php. And as a matter of fact, this particular article contains a detailed explanation of how to perform zone transfer based on the Linux command line and what information you can retrieve and how to read it. So and we're going to do a small lab which is based on this particular server, so I really recommend you to go through the reading so you can catch it all and understand how useful the zone transfer is. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my Windows 10 virtual machine, and I'm going to show you how to perform zone transfer from the Windows CMD using NSLOOKUP. And the domain that we're going to be transferring is exactly this one here that DigiNinja provides, which is zonetransfer.me. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to enter NSLOOKUP interactive mode, for which we only do we simply do NSLOOKUP enter, and now we are in interactive mode. In my case, the computer is set up to use address 8.8.8.8, which is a Google public DNS server. If I would go ahead and try to do the zone transfer using this DNS server, I'm going to be denied from doing it. Okay, this is not the authoritative server. Okay, and there's going to be a restriction, because when it queries probably the authoritative server, there's going to be some sort of restriction on these servers configuration that is not going to allow it to just go ahead and replicate and transfer the full zone. So let me just try and do it for you to see it. The actual zone transfer command it's very easy. This is a simulation of zone transfer. So ls-d zone transfer transfer.me, and then I'm gonna ask it to direct its output to a file called fail.txt, because it's gonna fail. I'm gonna hit enter. Okay, it says can't list domain zone transfer.me. The server failed. DNS server refused to zone transfer the zone transfer.me to your computer. If this is incorrect, data. Okay, so it's because again I'm using my default server. In order for the zone transfer to work, I need to be using as my server. I need to be using the authoritative server for the domain. Let me repeat that again. There is going to be one server, which is the authoritative server. Okay, the one that contains the full zone, the one that is directly associated to that domain, and that authoritative server I need to set it up in my computer as my default DNS server before attempting the zone transfer. Okay, so how do we find the authoritative server for a domain? You guys might remember, because we learned this on a previous lesson. Let's just do set type equal SOA, start of authority, and then let's make a lookup for zone transfer.me. So there you go. The primary server, it's this one you see here. The responsible email address is this one. Just replace the first dot with an @ sign, and then it gives us different data, which is also useful: the serial number, the refresh, retry, and expire timers, and the default time to leave. Okay, so now that we know this, let's just copy it here, and let's just say server. Alright, and now when we just hit server, we see that we're working with the server nsztm1.dg.ninja, which is the server we want to be working with for this. Okay, now that we are using that server as our default server, we can perform the zone transfer. So for this, I'm going to do, again, ls. Let me just make this a little shorter, maybe. It's kinda... There you go. That's better. ls-d zone transfer.me, and then I'm gonna create an output file. I'm gonna call it zone transfer output.txt. By default, it's gonna land wherever my command prompt is, and right now it's in users Josue. So I'm just gonna hit enter, and you see it tells us it received 153 records. This is good. Let me just exit and clear. So now in my file explorer, if I go to users and then I go to this user here, okay, I can see that my document zone transfer output is now here, and it has a weight of 8 kilobytes. So there is some information in there. I can expand this and just check out what sort of information. This one we saw it before from the command line, right? It's start of authority record, telling us which is the authoritative server, who is the person responsible. Remember, pretty much if you take this dot and you change it for an @ sign, you have the email address of the person, the serial number, the different timers, and the TTL of the record. You can see what is a second name server, okay? Because we see one here on the start of authority, but we're looking at a second one. So for example, attempting zone transfers from different name servers might be useful as well. There's an A record. You might find a lot of these. You can see a lot of MX records. These are indicators of email servers that are being in use for the domain. This is super helpful, especially if you're gonna be attempting to perform any hacking on the email part of the infrastructure. So MX records are good to find. And if you continue to go further, you will find a lot of different things, interesting things. For example, you can see there is some zip service enabled. If you go down, you will find some records. So TXT records, for example, which should never be seen by outsiders, and contain information like phone numbers and email addresses, right? So, and also you can see stuff here like, for example, some internal websites, some internal name servers, internal name servers that are not supposed to be seen by you. And I'm trying to find one here specifically. A staging, alright, a staging website. Sometimes a staging website will be more vulnerable than the live website, and you can get important information, okay, from it. And this is what I was looking for. There's an A record for a VPN server. So if you manage to find credentials and you get now the VPN server address, you're pretty much, you have the doors open. Okay, so again, in the web page that I told you where this is coming from, in digit.ninja, there is an explanation item by item, but I think that for what you've seen so far, you can see how valuable a zone transfer might be if it is that you manage to complete it. Okay, and this is the main subject of DNS enumeration for the CH curriculum. Alright, so go ahead to the web page I gave you and try it yourself. Just do it yourself, either with the Windows method that I showed you or with the Linux method that the author is showing you on the web page. Go through the explanation he gives on each and every of the records that you'll find there, and you will find that it's going to be very easy for you to understand everything concerning DNS zone transfer. Thank you for watching this video. I'm sure it's going to be of benefit for your security career.